As far as delinquencies go, let's go down the line. Just tell me, how do you feel about your delinquency rate? Is it, if you want to give me a number if you don't mind. What's your delinquency right now based upon in the past 2 months?
96%.
Okay.
So
96% are paid, right, Kim?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're about 98. We're running around 98. Yeah.
98.
yeah, I'm sitting a little over 99. The one that I have that hasn't paid chose to not pay after we gave her notice to vacate. It had nothing to do with payment.
97, 98. We're sitting pretty high.
So it's pretty darn high. For all of
98,
you.
99. Yeah, same. Very high.
Yeah. You know, it's amazing looking at the professional, you know who I work for. I work for everybody. So I work for the dabblers, and the dabblers are hit. They're hit so bad, it's outrageous. But yet almost every single property manager that's a professional like you guys, you're all in the high 90s, every single one of them. So you've been doing pretty good with your people that they are paying, but what are you doing about the ones that aren't? Because obviously if you're at 90, 95%, and you've got 400 properties, you've got some people that are not paying. Tell me something that you're doing now, if anything, with those tenants. Are they just ghosting you at this point, or what are you doing? Mario, I got you on the screen still. What are you doing? Anything?
Sure. It's just kind of the one or two that I'll say are kind of the ghosters, and they kind of go into what Tia's point where, they are in the move out piece here, and maybe they're staying where it put because they don't want to move, but it's kind of an interesting dynamic now. We can't really go after and shove them out the door. But what we are doing is we're using some of the forms that you provided to say, hey, look, here's still the rent that you are due, and you're going to pay this regardless, just to try and keep the communications. And then there's been one or two that are really honestly impacted. And I know this is kind of a 50-50 split, but we've worked out payment plans for those, and those folks are paying. They are paying, and they're appreciative that we're not going after them. So.
Anyone else? Anything you're doing differently with these non-payers at this point?
I think it's a matter of negotiating. We had a tenant that just outright refused to pay and was ghosting us. And, we were in contact with the owner. We realized what they wanted, what their ideal outcome would be. We finally got the tenants to respond when we told them that the house may go into foreclosure because they haven't paid their rent and the owner can't pay their mortgage, which we know isn't necessarily going to happen right away, but it got a response out of the tenant because they don't want to be foreclosed. They don't understand that it can take months, years to foreclose, all that. But they finally responded, and we just negotiated. We finally got them to talk and negotiated for a move out date that was, and where we are, our governor has said we can't use any threatening language, which means you owe rent. That's threatening to the governor and the AG's office. So we had to be really careful about all that and the verbiage that we used, but it's all about the negotiation. I mean, that's when our negotiation skills come in really handy, is when we can work with people and move them into a direction that would be mutually agreeable.
Anyone else have any little tips or tricks on what they're doing right now? Anybody do a cash for keys, or just let people out, just let them walk?
We've done one.
That's what this case is.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Are any of you in a situation where you've got owners who want to sell and you've got tenants who are not allowing showings? I'm seeing a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's a pretty rough situation to deal with.
Yeah, we try to get some sort of video of the property. They'll usually let us in. We'll do a video, and then for the sales, we'll say that we can't allow anybody in until we're under contract for due diligence. So that's how we're handling it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things, Harry, we were concerned about on the few sales, we don't do a lot. We only sell for the clients that we've been managing for. And the tenant's lease was set to expire, but there was no guarantee that they were going to move out until they actually moved out. And so, closing, lease expired 6/30, closing was 7/8, July 8th. We didn't know until July 1st if they moved out or not. I mean, we would touch base with them and whatnot, but until they actually tell you they surrender the keys, we didn't know. Mm-hmm. And that was a little nerve-wracking. Tenants would say they'd move out, and we actually drove by one house to see if it had the moving truck out there, and they did, thank goodness. So we were good.